Howdy gang, it's your friend Pepper here, and I am solo backpacking along the Lost Coast, one of the most remote stretches of coastline in all of North America. This video almost didn't happen, but we made it. I'm so excited to share this with you, so let's get to stepping. Good morning, it is 6:30 a.m. The moon is still out and we are beginning the Lost Coast Trail, the first section of it anyway. Today we've got about 15 miles and I could not be more excited. I've wanted to do this trail since I discovered it. It's going to be very fun. And I'm just getting my very first look at the ocean right now. That's where we're hiking today. I'm really excited. Come on. This is gonna be a fun one. Okay, let's go. It's a sea urchin, I think. So I genuinely thought that Mr. Elephant Seal over there was less than alive, but I think I just woke him up. He does have some damage on the dorsal side. I think he's just chilling. They're not very friendly, so we are gonna walk very far around him to give him appropriate space and respect because he deserves it. Sorry to wake you, buddy. I don't think he cares. Okay, let's go. One of the most fascinating things to me about the Lost Coast Trail is that there's several sections that you cannot cross during high tide. During my hike, I have 3 different sections that I can't cross when it's high tide, unless I really want to get wet, climb a cliff face, or get sucked into the ocean and potentially not go home. Those are my options, so I prefer to just hike it when it's lower tide. And the way to do that is by reading tide charts. I'll show you guys the tide chart that I brought and how I'm planning this hike a little bit later. But yeah, this is the very first of 3 that I will be doing, and we did it. Let's go. Literally did not see him. You're a cutie. Hi, baby. So I'm here, but I want to be over there. And I've been going back and forth trying to find the best spot to cross. And I think it doesn't really matter. I'm getting wet. Couple of things you want to keep in mind when you're doing a creek crossing of any kind. Firstly, if you can, you should keep your shoes on or change to your sandals. But if you want to go fast, accept that they're going to get wet. If you're wearing trail runners, they'll dry quickly. That way you have good traction and you won't fall. But if you do fall, you want to make sure that none of your backpack straps are connected so that you can ditch it if the ocean decides that it wants you, or if it's a bigger creek or something, you know. So let's go, I guess. Oh, that's cold. Ugh. All right. Wow, that is a strong current. Yeah. Woo! I gotta go up. Woo! Hold on, guys. Shall we go? Oh, brother. Well, holy cannoli, has it ever been quite the morning? Oh my goodness. I'm not sure actually how much of that got translated, and I'm actually also not sure if my microphone is working or not, so hopefully you can hear me. What happened was I was crossing the creek and it got a little deeper than I anticipated, so I folded my phone in the tripod to keep it safe. Surprise, it wasn't safe. And into the creek it went. I think creek is really generous. Oh. Huh. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, creek is definitely generous. It was more of a river or something. I don't know. Into the water it went. I panicked. My first instinct was to plunge both of my hands into this freezing cold water. And of course it wasn't there because it was a very, very strong current. And I panicked a little bit. I won't lie, I did panic a little. But then I came out and I just said, okay, relax. It's just a phone. You're fine, you're safe, everything's good. Still have your pack, all is good. I made it to the other side. And I just tried to see, because I definitely knew that the phone had moved, where it probably could have gotten caught maybe on a rock or something. And sure enough, it did get caught on a rock. And that rock just happened to be right at the bank. I didn't have to go in anymore. I was like, could that? There's no way. And then it was. So I got my phone back. Yes, I'm very, 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 very soaked. That is okay. We've already crossed like 2 more creeks, so it's what it is. Anyway, we are a little bit behind schedule, but it's not a huge deal. I think we'll still be able to cross the zone that you can't cross at high tide without a hitch. I think it's in about 4 miles. And if this ain't just the if this just ain't the gosh darn prettiest thing you ever did see. Come on, you. The lesson of the day is that if there's one river crossing, there's probably more than one river crossing. So keep your shoes on, because they're gonna get wet. So although I'm walking on the beach right now, I'm actually supposed to be walking along the cliff face there. However, I can't because the trail is gone. The King Range Wilderness is where we are right now, has one of the fastest rising mountainscapes in all of North America. But just as quickly as it's rising, it's also tumbling down. And that is due to erosion, in part by the waves, and then also in part due to landslides. And these landslides are happening at a faster rate than usual because heavy rains are flooding the soil. And then the soil becomes too heavy and it uplifts roots and rock and debris, and then it all comes tumbling down. So I may be walking this section right now, but if you ever do this trail, you might be 15 feet inland or outland, hopefully not that way. This is a really good example of that erosion that I was talking about. There's my trail. Are we sure? I really hope that's just fog, not rain, because it's so sunny. Why would we want to ruin a beautifully sunny day? We wouldn't. That's why. That's what. My brain is not working today. Oh my goodness. Do you fancy a soak in the bubble bath? We'll put you in the tub. What's wrong with me? I swear to God. Okay, I've stumbled upon some poison oak. You can see right there, there's some, and then there's some down here. And even in the wintertime, when there's reddish, greenish, brownish leaves, or sometimes no leaves at all, it's still bad news because the itchy resin that when you get it on your skin, it makes a rash, is actually located on the stem. So you really need to be careful all the time. I also found it really funny that there's this rhyme of leaves of 3, let it be, leave them be, because wild blackberries also have leaves of 3. So you might miss food. So let's add to that rhyme. Leaves of 3, leave them be. If it's hairy, it's a berry. Because the leaves of wild blackberries are hairy. They have hairs on them. So that's how you can differentiate to know if it's a friend or a foe. And also poison oak is related to mangoes and cashews. So if you're allergic to those, you probably really would be allergic to poison oak. Oh, and it's not contagious. It's just wherever, it doesn't spread or anything. So wherever you get it, like, touched, it's the only spot it will go, and it won't spread to your friends. You don't need to worry about that. Let's keep going. This rock is super loose. Now you might be thinking in this moment, did she seriously cross the creek to put the camera down, to go back across the creek, to go back across the creek to record it? And the answer would unfortunately be yes. But I figure I'm already wet, can't get any wetter, not allergic to water, so I may as well make a semi-pleasurable viewing experience for you. If you haven't already, for the sake of my freezing cold tootsies, please like this video. Okay, goodbye. Okie dokie, the passing of this boulder means that we are nearly past the impassable at high tide section, the second one, which means we're done with scary tide stuff for today. Whew. We've got about 6 miles left to cover today, but I'm going to break for lunch soon once I find a spot that I'm certain is safe. Look, gang! I finally found some lupins! Oh my gosh! The flowers anyway. The bushes are all of this green that you see here, but this is the first bush that has flowers, which means spring is coming. I can see why this trail is a lot more popular in the spring and summer as opposed to the winter time, because imagine all of this just completely peppered with purple. I mean, it's still beautiful. And if you don't like crowds, hard to beat the winter time. Hard to believe it's winter also. Stay. It's a good spot for lunch. I'm gonna eat pretty quickly because I want to keep moving so I can enjoy the ocean. This trip I brought something that I don't usually bring on my backpacking trips. Not because I wanted to, mind you, but because it is a requirement of hiking the Lost Coast Trail. You have to bring a bear can. We're practicing bear safety. Yay for bear safety. For lunch today, we have some naan and some Parmigiano Reggiano. Let's go. So my watch is telling me that I have done 16 miles already, but I'm not at my campsite. And I checked the map and it looks like I've at least got a mile and a half more. I don't know where all these extra miles came from. I didn't put them there. 18.25 miles later, I have a campsite. Why do people do this? They just leave their campfires. For why? Ugh. It's gonna be tight, but I'm stubborn, so I'm gonna make it work. ay, ay. It's not terrible. I've seen better, but I've also seen worse. And honestly, aside from the fact that my doorstep is someone else's campfire, I think this will do just fine. Oh, there's a bunch of deer. Wow. Never a dull moment. Let's get some food. You know, I am so utterly exhausted, but I don't think I could know any more peace than the peace that I know in this moment. Time to eat. In areas like the King Range Wilderness, where they require you to carry a bear canister to store your food, it's generally a good idea to also eat away from where you plan on sleeping, because bears have an insane sense of smell. I think it's like 40,000 times more than a bloodhound. I might just be completely making that up, but I'll put the real fact right here. All this to say, they have very, very good senses of smells. Anyway, it's a good idea to eat your food and store all of your scented stuff away from your camp. So we're just gonna watch the sunset right here, which is totally fine by me. Okie dokie. For dinner tonight, we have 3-year-old Gouda, along with some absolutely beautiful Finocchio salami. And of course, crackers that kind of made it, but not really. Anyway, I'm really excited to eat, so I'm gonna just dig the frick in. That is good. Now for the Gouda. That's strong. This Gouda cheese has little crunchy crystals in it, which are just tyrosine buildup, which is like an amino acid that naturally occurs during the aging process, and it adds this little crunchy crunch. Fabulous. It goes really well with the salami. That'll stop a hungry bear. I am so tired. As always, I save room for dessert, my favorite kind of chocolate bar. I'm gonna go eat this down there and have a conversation with the ocean. So, I'll be back. Thanks for sharing this moment with me. Well, gang, it certainly has been a fantastic day. I will see you in the morning. Good night. Okay, good night for real. Good morning. It is 6:29. I slept pretty well, actually. I feel really good. Now, I'm gonna get up. It was really nice to hear the whoosh, whoosh, whoosh all night. We have 10-ish miles today to do, but we might have to wait for the tide to go out before we can hike too far. We'll see. I'm gonna play it by ear. Breakfast this morning, we've got granola, and I'm gonna snack on some caffeinated jelly beans. That sounds really good to me right now. So I've been really taking my time breaking camp this morning because according to my tide chart, there is a section a little bit ahead that I actually can't pass at all until the tide goes down. So I wanted to take this opportunity to show you how I planned for this hike and how I read tide charts to determine whether or not it's safe for me to cross. Let's do it. So I got these tide predictions for Shelter Cove, which is where we are right now, before I left for my trip. What I have here is 48 hours worth of tide predictions. So this was yesterday's tides, and then we are here, 222, there's 221, there's 222, and we are at, it's about 8 a.m. right now. So you can kind of see based on the x-axis what time and date it is, and then the y-axis gives you the height in feet of the tide. A general rule of thumb for this area is that if the water is below 3 feet, it is safe to cross an impassable zone. And if it is above 3 feet, it is not safe. What's really nifty about the NOAA service is that you can actually set a threshold line. So I have here this red line that is set at 3 feet. So I know that anytime that the wave is underneath that line, it is safe for me to cross. So right now it's about 8 a.m. So it's still not safe for me to cross the impassable zone that is just up ahead. So I have to wait until, and then if we look here, about 9:55 or 10 a.m. And also they give you a chart of data as well if you prefer to look at it this way. It is kind of limited insofar as it only provides data about the highs and lows. It doesn't tell you whatever threshold you're looking for, but it's still a really good way to determine whether or not it's safe to cross. And so you can see here that anything before here would be a safe time for me to cross, and then it gets less and less safe as we bring the wave back up to 3 feet. So I'm gonna cross really early, right around here. So I probably won't even see the impassable section when it is at low tide. People would still be safe to cross, you know, around 12:30, 1 or 2 o'clock today, maybe even. So yeah, that's how I read this chart to tell me if I'm gonna drown or not. And I don't plan on drowning. Alrighty, now that my socks and shoes have had just enough time to dry, I gotta get over there. Okay. Well, that sucked. morning, 10 miles later, and I'm at the trailhead. But this trip wouldn't be complete without one more creek crossing, of course, just to get my shoes wet one last time. If you like this video, make sure to click subscribe and check out my other backpacking videos if you like. I'll see you for our next adventure. Happy steppin'!